Yeah, hi, this is Alcon. Welcome back to the channel. We got some great news. Justin Trudeau has just announced his resignation as leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister. He's waiting for his replacement to take over. Let's see. I'm not sure what new. Oh, this is from ABC News. Um, by Rob Gills. Says Canada Trudeau to resign as Liberal Party leader, spelling end to time and power. So we're not gonna put his speech on video here. We don't care about him. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau plans to announce his resignation Monday, an official said, in the face of raising discontent over his leadership and after the abrupt departure of his financial minister, signaled growing turmoil within his government. The official said that Trudeau will stay on as prime minister until a new leader of the Liberal Party is chosen. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak ahead of the official announcement later in the day, but he is resigning. It was also not clear when the national or nationwide election will be held to pick a permanent replacement. I know Wednesday's supposed to meet, so we have to see from there what happens. But Trudeau came to power in 2015 after 10 years of Conservative Party rule and initially had been hailed for returning the country to its liberal past. But the 53-year-old sitcom of one of Canada's most famous prime minister became deeply unpopular with voters in recent years over a range of issues, including the soaring cost of food, housing, and surging immigration. The political upheaval came to a difficult moment for Canada internationally. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods if the government does not stem what Trump is calling a flow of immigration and drugs in the U.S. Even though a few far from each crossing the U.S. from Canada than from Mexico, which Trump is also threatening. Yeah, right. Uh, oh, of course, didn't mention the trucker protest. They left that out, didn't they? Canada is a major exporter of oil and natural gas to the U.S., which also rely on its northern neighbor for steel, aluminum, and autos. Trudeau kept a public mum on the recent weeks, despite intensive pressure for him to step down. His long silence followed this political drama speaks volumes about the weakness of his current position, said Daniel Bilan, a political science professor at McGill University in Montreal. Canada's former finance minister, Christine Freeland, announced her resignation from Trudeau's cabinet on December 16, criticizing some of Trudeau's economic priorities in the face of Trump's threats. The move, which came shortly after the housing minister quit, stung the country and raised the question about how much longer the increasingly unpopular Trudeau could stay at his job. Freeland and Trudeau had disagreed about two recent announced policies: a temporary sales tax holiday on goods ranging from children's clothes to beer, and plans to send every civilian a check for 250 Canadian dollars. That's $124. Freeland, who was also deputy prime minister, said Canada cannot afford costly political gimmicks in the face of terror threats. Our country is facing grave challenges, Freeland wrote in a resignation letter. That means keeping our financial powder dry today so we can have the reserves we need for a coming turf war. You don't need a turf war. You just need to do what Trump tells you to do, which is stop the illegal immigrant and the drugs, and there'll be no problem. Because you don't want to see it that way. Trudeau has been planning to run for a fourth term in next year's election, even in the face of raising discontent among the Liberal Party members. The party recently suffered upsets in special elections in two districts in Toronto and Montreal that has been held for years. No Canadian Prime Minister in more than a century has won 4 straight terms, and based on the latest polls, Trudeau's chances for success look slim. In the latest poll by Ninos, the Liberals trailed the Conservative 47-21. Over the nearly a decade in power, Trudeau embraced a range of causes favored by his Liberal base. He spoke in favor of immigration at the time when other countries were trying to tighten the borders, which he should have. His camp championed diversity and gender equality, appointing a cabinet that was equally part men and women. He legalized cannabis. He efforts to strike a balance between economic growth and environment protection was criticized heavily by both the right and the left. He levied a tax on carbon emission, rescued a stall pipeline expansion project to get more Alberta's oil to international markets. Not here. Few people died from COVID in Canada than elsewhere else in his government, providing mass financial support. Yeah, but it led to the huge trucker protests that he clamped down hard on, and he frees people's bank accounts. My son's bank account almost got frozen, uh, and he didn't contribute to them, so we don't know how that happened. He had TD Bank. Um, but unanimously grow among those opposed to vaccine mandates. That's what the trucker convoy came in. Flags with Trudeau name and explicitly became a common sight and role parts. Of course, the FU Trudeau movement was heavily favored. It come by its scandals and unpopular policy damages prospect over time. Trudeau's fathers swept into power in 1968 and led Canada for almost 16 years, become a storied name in the country's history, most notably by opening its door wide to immigrants. Pierre Trudeau was often compared to JFK and remained one of the few Canadian politicians who are recognized in America. Tall and trim with movie star looks, Justin Trudeau channeled the star power in not quite the political half of his father. He became the second youngest prime minister in Canada history, and Rabbles says his age was liable when he first sought office, but he won a sweeping mandate to come in from behind victory in 2015. Trudeau is a former teacher, nightclub bouncer, and snowboard instructor who has 3 children with his now estranged wife, a former movie and TV host. Yes, the tensions are so bad she let them. So yes, Trudeau is going to be out of power by the end of the week. What question is, who's going to replace him? And are they going to have an election afterwards? Not wait a year when all the problems are happening. That is a big question that Canadians are asking. So, we're going to still keep doing all these jokes about Trudeau and calling him Governor Trudeau instead of Prime Minister Trudeau because it is kind of hilarious. I think the Liberals over there are trying to avoid being the 51st state of the United States. That didn't help his situation. I'm sorry I'm cracking up laughing, but it is kind of funny. Isn't that right, Governor Trudeau? I had to stop the video because it's just getting too funny. Okay, this I can't say so long for now. Don't forget your stop. Governor Trudeau is going bye-bye. 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 Don't let the door hit you on the way out.